Part 1. The Birth of Rome, From Myth to Republic. Long before the grand arches, the marble forums, and the legions that would march across the world, there was only a river, a forest, and a dream. The land we now call Italy was wild, covered in rolling hills and fertile plains, with the Tiber River flowing quietly through its heart. It is said that in these hills lived twin brothers, Romulus and Remus. Sons of the war god Mars and a mortal woman, they were cast away as infants, set adrift upon the waters of the Tiber. Fate would not let them perish. A she-wolf, fierce yet tender, found the crying children and nursed them beneath the shade of a fig tree. From this strange beginning, the destiny of a city was born. When the brothers grew, they dreamed of founding a new settlement upon the hills where they had been saved. But even destiny is not without conflict. Romulus quarreled with Remus, and in anger struck him down. Alone, Romulus claimed the Palatine Hill as his own, and there, in the year 753 BCE, he drew the first furrow of Rome's walls. He named the city after himself, Roma. Rome's earliest days were fragile. It was a small village of huts on the 7 hills, surrounded by stronger peoples, the Etruscans to the north, the Latins and Sabines nearby. Yet the Romans grew, bold and cunning. They welcomed exiles and wanderers, thieves and outcasts. Rome became a refuge for the unwanted, a gathering of the restless. To ensure the city's survival, Romulus and his followers took wives in a tale remembered as the rape of the Sabine women, a dark yet symbolic story of how Romans forged bonds by force, then by reconciliation. For in time, the Sabines joined with Rome, becoming one people. Kings ruled Rome for centuries, each leaving their mark. Some built temples, others roads and walls. Yet the Romans, fiercely proud, would one day tire of kings. The last monarch, Tarquin the Proud, was overthrown in anger, and in his place the Romans created something new, the Republic. No man would rule as king again. Instead, power was shared between consuls, guided by the Senate, checked by laws and traditions. It was a system born of struggle, yet it gave Rome resilience. The Republic became more than a city. It became an idea of citizenship, of duty, of discipline, and of endless ambition. Thus, from myth and blood, from wolves and warriors, Rome was born. A city destined to rise beyond its hills, to spread its name across the world, and to shape history for millennia to come. Part 2. The Rise of the Roman Empire, Glory and Power. The Republic grew like a flame spreading across dry grass. From its humble beginnings, Rome extended its reach over the Italian peninsula, forging alliances, fighting wars, and binding conquered peoples with roads, treaties, and discipline. The Romans were relentless. They built the Via Appia, the Appian Way, stretching like a vein of stone across the land. Their legions, disciplined, ironclad, and tireless, marched upon it, carrying Rome's power to distant fields. Every soldier was both warrior and builder, wielding not only sword and shield, but also shovel and pickaxe, leaving behind forts and roads as they advanced. Conflict tested them. The wars with Carthage, the Punic Wars, became legendary. When Hannibal, the Carthaginian general, crossed the Alps with elephants, the Romans faced disaster. Yet they endured, adapting, learning, never yielding. At last, Rome triumphed, razing Carthage to the ground, salting its fields, and claiming mastery of the Mediterranean. With conquest came wealth. Grain from Egypt, gold from Gaul, slaves from every land. Rome became a city of marble, its streets filled with temples, basilicas, and markets where goods from every corner of the known world were sold. But wealth also brought division. Senators schemed, generals grew ambitious. Into this storm stepped Julius Caesar, brilliant, bold, and merciless. He conquered Gaul, his name whispered with both admiration and fear. When he crossed the Rubicon with his army, civil war erupted. Rome was no longer content with the balance of the Republic. It was ready to crown new masters. Though Caesar fell beneath the daggers of conspirators, his vision lived on. His heir, Octavian, Augustus, became the first emperor. With him, the Roman Empire was born. Augustus cloaked his rule in the old forms of the Republic, but he held true power. Under his reign, Rome knew peace, the Pax Romana. Roads stretched farther than ever before. Aqueducts carried water to the growing metropolis, and legions guarded frontiers from the deserts of Africa to the forests of Germania. The empire was not only power, but spectacle. The Colosseum rose, where gladiators fought beneath the roar of tens of thousands. Chariots thundered through the Circus Maximus. Emperors displayed their generosity through games, bread, and monuments. Rome was the heart of the world, a city of marble and fire, of order and ambition. Its name carried fear and awe, its eagle standards casting shadows across 3 continents. From the myth of Romulus to the rule of Augustus, Rome had become eternal. Or so it seemed. Part 3. The Fall of Rome, Crisis and Transformation. No empire, however mighty, lasts forever. For centuries, Rome ruled the Mediterranean world, but beneath its marble skin, cracks began to spread. The vastness of the empire stretched its legions thin. Borders had to be defended from countless enemies, Persians in the east, Goths and Vandals in the north. Each frontier was a fire that never ceased to burn. Wealth that once poured into Rome now drained away. Corruption spread in the Senate. Taxes weighed heavily on farmers, and slaves replaced free laborers. The heart of Rome, once strong with citizen soldiers, began to weaken. In the 3rd century, crisis consumed the empire. Emperors rose and fell like shadows, assassinated, betrayed, replaced by ambitious generals. Civil wars tore at the fabric of Rome. For a time, the empire nearly shattered into pieces. And yet, Rome endured. Emperors like Diocletian tried to bring order, dividing the empire into east and west. Constantine the Great brought even greater change, embracing a new faith, Christianity. From his reign onward, the cross rose beside the eagle, and the old gods of Jupiter and Mars gave way to the worship of Christ. But unity was fragile. By the 5th century, the Western Roman Empire faced storm after storm. The Goths crossed the frontiers, sacking Rome itself in 410. The Vandals followed, sweeping across Spain and Africa, striking at Rome from the sea. And then came the Huns, fierce riders from the steppes, pressing upon the borders with fire and terror. Finally, in 476 CE, the last Western emperor, a boy named Romulus Augustulus, was deposed by the Germanic leader Odoacer. The symbol of Rome's might was gone. Yet Rome did not vanish entirely. In the east, at Constantinople, the empire endured as Byzantium, carrying Roman law, language, and power for another 1,000 years. And in the west, the ruins of Rome became seeds for new kingdoms, barbarian rulers who adopted Roman ways, building on its ashes. The fall of Rome was not a single moment, but a slow transformation, an ending, yet also a beginning. The eternal city lay in shadow, its forums empty, its aqueducts broken, but its memory lingered. The dream of Rome, its laws, its roads, its vision of empire, would never truly die.
Part 4. The Middle Ages in Italy, Fragmented Lands and New Powers. When the Western Roman Empire fell, Italy did not find peace. Instead, the peninsula became a patchwork of kingdoms, duchies, and foreign powers. The ruins of Rome stood silent, yet new rulers claimed its lands, each shaping Italy in their own image. The first to come were the Ostrogoths, followed by the Byzantines, who sought to reclaim the old heart of empire. Then, in the 6th century, the Lombards swept into Italy, carving it into duchies and kingdoms. Their rule left traces in names, laws, and traditions, but it also deepened Italy's divisions. Amidst this turmoil, the papacy rose in power. The Bishop of Rome, once a spiritual leader, became also a temporal prince. The Papal States stretched across central Italy, guarded by faith and politics alike. Popes clashed with emperors, claimed crowns, and wielded influence far beyond their cities' walls. Meanwhile, in the north, the great cities of Italy began to stir. Venice, born from refugees who had fled to the lagoons during invasions, grew into a republic of merchants and sailors. Its fleets ruled the Adriatic, its traders carried silk and spices, and its palaces shimmered with wealth drawn from the seas. Florence, Milan, Genoa, Pisa, each rose as city-states governed by merchants, nobles, or condottieri, mercenary captains who sold their swords to the highest bidder. These cities warred and allied with one another, competing for land, influence, and glory. The Middle Ages in Italy were turbulent, yet fertile. Monasteries preserved books, scholars debated faith and reason. Artists carved new visions from stone. Cathedrals soared upward, their spires piercing the sky, while streets bustled with artisans, bakers, goldsmiths, and merchants calling out their trade. Italy was no longer the heart of a single empire, but a mosaic of powers. Papal Rome, mercantile Venice, proud Florence, ambitious Milan. Fragmented though it was, this Italy laid the foundation for something new. From its rivalries, wealth, and restless spirit would come a rebirth unlike any the world had ever seen, the Renaissance. Part 5. The Italian Renaissance, Dawn of a New Age. As the Middle Ages waned, a new light began to rise over Italy, a dawn of art, science, and human spirit. This was the Renaissance, a rebirth of classical wisdom and creativity that would transform not only Italy, but all of Europe. The spark ignited in Florence, a city of bankers and weavers, of merchants and dreamers. Here the powerful Medici family rose, patrons of art and learning, their wealth feeding a flowering of culture. In their palaces and churches, artists found support to paint, sculpt, and imagine as never before. It was an age of giants. Leonardo da Vinci, painter, inventor, thinker, whose notebooks brimmed with visions of flying machines and anatomy drawn with precision. Michelangelo, who carved the David from marble, painted the Sistine Chapel ceiling, and left behind works that seemed to touch the divine. Raphael, whose graceful Madonnas and luminous frescoes filled Rome with beauty. But the Renaissance was more than art. It was the revival of humanism, the belief that mankind, not only heaven, was worthy of study. Scholars read the old works of Greece and Rome, translated ancient texts, and questioned the world around them. Astronomy, mathematics, and medicine advanced, challenging the boundaries of medieval thought. The cities of Italy became jewel boxes of brilliance. Venice glowed with mosaics and music, a crossroads of East and West. Rome, revitalized by ambitious popes, adorned itself with basilicas, sculptures, and grand piazzas. Florence hummed with artists, poets, and philosophers debating under painted ceilings. And beyond beauty lay ambition. Explorers and sailors, supported by Italian knowledge and craft, ventured across the seas. Genoese captains like Christopher Columbus carried European banners to the New World, forever altering history. The Renaissance was not only a time of peace. Rivalry still burned, wars raged between city-states, and foreign powers eyed Italy's riches. Yet even in strife, creation thrived. For every fortress built, a chapel was painted. For every battle fought, a poem was written. This was the age when Italy shined as the beating heart of civilization, a land where art reached for the heavens and man rediscovered both his past and his boundless potential. Part 6. Legacy of Italy, from Ancient Glory to Eternal Renaissance. The story of Italy is a story of cycles, of rise, fall, and rebirth. From the wolf that nursed Romulus, to the emperors who ruled the world, to the artists who painted ceilings like the sky itself, Italy has lived many lives, yet always remained eternal. Rome gave the world its laws, its roads, its vision of empire. Even when the city crumbled, its memory shaped kingdoms, churches, and empires for centuries to come. The idea of Rome never died. It became the foundation of Europe itself. In the Middle Ages, Italy's struggles gave birth to independence, trade, and rivalry. Out of that fire emerged a creativity that changed humanity. The Renaissance was not only Italian, but Italian at its heart. Its art, its ideas, and its spirit spread from Florence, Venice, and Rome to Paris, London, Madrid, and beyond. Italy taught the world to see beauty in marble and canvas, to question, to explore, to dream. Michelangelo's David still stands. Leonardo's sketches still astonish. Dante's words still echo. They are not relics of the past, but voices that speak across time. And even today, Italy carries its legacy. The ruins of the Colosseum remind us of empire. The domes of Florence remind us of rebirth. The piazzas, the cathedrals, the art and the food, the music of language, all whisper of centuries when Italy was the world stage. From Rome to the Renaissance, Italy's journey is one of struggle and triumph, darkness and brilliance. A land that gave the world both empire and enlightenment, both law and beauty. The eternal city, the radiant republics, the golden age of art, all are chapters in a single story, the story of Italy, whose spirit continues to shine like the sun upon its hills, forever reborn, forever eternal.